Blake, first Service Academy game. Are you excited?
Super excited. I think it's great. First goal in our entire organization is bring the CIC back. So I think this is a big game for us. We're all really excited, really anxious to play already. We want to get out there and play. So very, very excited.
Part of what has been key to your success this year is just having fun, going out there and just playing the game and enjoying it. How do you not get too tense, too worked up, too tight for this game? It's such that happens a lot in these games.
Yeah, I think it being a Service Academy game, we always put so much stress on it, with the CIC and everything. But what I do is I just think back to when I was a little kid, and I'm just so thankful to be even playing college football, and think about what I would have thought of myself now. Just being able to play this game, and so that's sort of what I think about, and what I think a lot of our guys think about is just what initially made them find joy in the game, and that's sort of what's been coming out this year, honestly, I think. And so I think that's just something that we have to have every game. And even in a Service Academy game, we want to be focused, but we still want to be able to find that joy that we've had our entire lives.
I'm presuming that as a plebe, you did not travel to Colorado Springs?
I did not. This will be my first trip. Yes,
so
sir.
Are you worried at all about the altitude and all of that? I mean, have you talked to anybody about what it's like, or do you, because those are the outside factors you don't want to be thinking about?
Yeah, I've talked to people. Obviously, it's just something you have to be aware of. It's not something that's going to change our game plan entirely or make us fearful of anything, but it's something you just got to be aware of. Just, know your environment, know what's going to happen. It's the same reason why we look up the temperature before any game, just to prepare ourselves,
Sure.
physically, so we don't cramp up and things. And so, it's just like that, scouting the location you're playing, what's going on there.
So Air Force has defended Navy extremely well over the years. You saw what happened last year. Braxton really, I think he had minus 14 yards rushing on 14 carries. And the team as a whole did not do much offensively. 68 total yards, 32 rushing yards, I believe. It was really a disaster. How do you flip the script and do it differently this year? You all been rolling up so many points, but this Air Force team has not allowed you to do much offensively.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from this year to last year is just the confidence of everybody in the organization, not just the offensive line or me or our running backs, Chat and Eli. I think everyone just has a confidence about them, knowing what we can do and not being uncertain about anything. Clear minds, just ready to play. I think that's just the biggest, change from last year to this year is, no one's doubting anything. Everyone's bought in. Everyone's excited and confident what we can do.
So the Air Force coach spoken very glowingly of your ability to get the ball out quickly, that you're not sitting there patting the ball, you're not waiting for guys to come open, you're one hitch and boom. Can you talk about that? Because you've made a tremendous improvement passing the ball, and that's a big part of it, is throwing on time and on target.
Yeah, I think this year, when I have done that, it's been our 3 sacks, holding on to the ball too long. And so our offensive line's done a great job. And I think that's just the formula right there. When I've held on to the ball too long, it's been a sack. And when I've gotten it out quick, they've been all completions or my fault maybe on an overthrow or something. But I think it's just knowing your progressions, preparing for the defense, and just knowing where the ball's going to go, and having faith in Eli and Chat and Kent and all those guys that they're going to go make a play. Like last week before UAB, I was able to get out fast because I had full faith that Nathan Kent was going to outrun one-on-one coverage. So that's just the sort of thing that's going through my mind, is just the confidence and faith that I have in them out there and in our offensive line.
So Coach Cronick is saying he's surprised to how well you run the ball, and he didn't know because you don't tackle during August camp. I don't think you're surprised. We saw glimpses last year that you could run the ball. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult when you can't tackle in practice, because if a guy's within an arm's length, it's a tackle. But as you've seen many times this year, against Bucknell, Chat's touchdown catch would have been called down for 3 yards in practice because
Right.
guys are within an arm's reach. But you never know about the variables of breaking tackles or outrunning guys who may say they're within that length. So I understand where the coaches are coming from and not being able to see or not confident in my running ability within camp just because of that. But I always knew what I had and just wanted to play within myself and not try and press and do too much. And so I've just been doing what I've always done and just playing confidently.
So lastly, 4 games in, you're operating the offense at such a high level, and that's ultimately your job. You're like the point guard who's got to dish the ball to the open men or take the ball to the hoop yourself. Can you just talk about the confidence you have in knowing the system, being able to execute the system?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is there's no egos within this offense. There's nobody that has to have the ball 20 times a game. There's no one that, has to score a touchdown here or there. Guys are excited to block. I'm excited to, get guys the ball in space and let them make plays. I don't need to run the ball 20 times a game. I'm fine running it with 5 if we win. So that's the biggest thing, is every single guy in this team just bought in on winning and what we can do to put guys in position to win, either blocking or throwing or anything like that. So I think that's just the biggest thing that sort of helped us, is just having no egos.
I wanted to talk to you about Jay Reed. I think he's been playing at a high level this season. He's really wreaking havoc. He's getting into the backfield. He's getting tackles for loss. He's getting sacks and quarterback hurries. He's only credited with 2, but Strauss pointed out that a lot of schools don't keep that stat. I know he's got more than 2 quarterback hurries. I've seen them scaring quarterbacks. What can you say about Jay Reed and the way he's playing?
Well, he's a senior, and I've always felt that seniors are supposed to play their best football, and he's doing that now. He's a product of being in our scheme now for 4 years, and it shows. The game has really slowed down for him, and he understands the blocking schemes. He understands how the opponents is going to try to attack him, in the run game. And this year we took it to another level where he understands, as far as his offensive tackle that he's going against, he understands on how that offensive tackle is going to set on him and things of that nature. So it's been fun to watch him out there run around and play, as a senior.
So with Busick going down last year, he was thrust in the starting lineup and he responded and played pretty well. How much did that accelerate his development for this year? I mean, he got a lot more reps than he would probably normally have gotten had Busick not gotten hurt.
The thing is, Wags, he got game reps, and there's no substitute for game reps.
Right.
And he was able to come in last year, and he had that next man up mentality last year, and the reps that he was able to put in has really helped them this year, and it has all came together to play a part of the special year that he's having.
What did you challenge him to improve upon during the offseason, between the end of last season and the start of this season? What did you say, Justin, this is what you need to get better at?
It was his hand skills, because he always played with really good pad level, but at times, he would have great pad level, but he would leave his hands behind, or his hands was just a millisecond too slow getting on the offensive lineman, not being the first to strike. And I think this year, he's doing a really good job of that. There's always room to improve, and that's what we try to do every day that we're out here, is focus on, those fundamentals of being a really good defensive end, and it all starts, with your hands.
And those hands were on display this past week when he drove that tackle into the quarterback on like the third possession or second, whatever possession that was. But I mean, he literally put that guy on roller skates and walked him back to the quarterback. What can you say about a play like that? That's got to be a highlight reel film for a defensive end.
Well, that's his patented move. The long arm stab. He knows that he's 6'3", and he knows that every Saturday he's going to be going against offensive tackles that's 6'5", 6'6", so he knows that long arm stab is going to equal the playing field there with the length and actually make himself longer than the offensive tackle, and that's what he went to. That's what was in the scouting report, and he executed.
So what do you think makes Jay Reed so good? I mean, was there any particular skills that you think make him a good pass rusher, make him good at getting into the backfield and causing problems?
It's just being relentless. He is a relentless player. He's going to come after you again and again. It doesn't matter from the first snap. A few games ago versus Memphis, he was plus 80 snaps. And he played the first snap just like he played his last, and that's a skill set that I see with him, just being relentless out there. He's gonna come after you every single play.
First and foremost, they call you Jay Reed. It's kind of like, are you like a rapper? I mean, how'd you get yourself a Jay Reed? Like that sounds like some sort of famous person's moniker.
It's funny. I've never been called Jay Reed until I got here, so I thought it was very unique.
Who started it? Do you remember?
I think it just came from the coaches. On first day of fall camp, I had just Jay Reed across my helmet, and so from there, they're just like, oh, it kind of flows easier, better than saying Justin. So I was like, all right, just kind of took it and ran.
And you rolled with it, huh?
Yes, sir.
So you've been playing at a high level. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers, your tackles for loss, the sacks. I mean, you probably got a lot more quarterback hurries than you've been credited for. Strauss told me a lot of schools don't keep that as a statistic, but just talk about the way you're playing.
I just wanted to elevate my game. I feel like I'm just trying to do my job as best as my ability, and just playing a lot faster, seeing things I didn't see before, and just focusing on those details. I think for me going into my senior year, I wanted to iron out all those details, make sure I could be able to lead a good example for the younger guys, and I've just been trying to take it one day at a time.
So 2 years ago, Busick had a great season, had like 7-8 sacks. I forget, he was in the race with John Marshall for a while, but Marshall won. But I mean, how much did seeing him perform that way motivate you to be that way, similar performance as a defensive end?
Yeah, it just bred competition. I think he fired me up when I first got here to be able to play at that type of level, play with that type of speed. And from there on, it just became a thing about trust. I wanted him to know that he could trust me going out there whenever he needed a break, that I could do my job. And it wasn't like we were losing a player and that we're weak in that end. It was more that, this is another guy that can bring something else to the table other than Busick. And so I think we played off each other very, very well, that he could do some things on his end, and then when I would go in, I could do my own thing. And I thought we just fed off each other in that environment.
So last year, after Jacob went down, you became the starter, and there was no drop-offs. How much pride did you take in the fact that, you were able to keep the level of play at that defensive end position where it had been with Jacob?
I think it just came from a mindset. Knowing of our roles at the time, of Busick being a 1 and I was a 2, but it didn't really feel like that. I considered us both being 1s in my eyes. Our reps were dependent on each game, and so when Busick went out, I took it as it's an opportunity to be able to make some plays, more time out there on the field, and just know that the position was going to be taken care of. I didn't want any of the coaches to feel like, there's a void in this spot, and there were some shoes to fill because Busick did a lot of different things than I do. And so I had to learn to be able to elevate my game in a sense, to be able to make those type of plays and do my job out there.
So how much did those game reps, help you? I mean, that's valuable game reps that, you're a better player today because you got more game reps than expected last season. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Getting the experience out there helps me to be able to kind of get comfortable in the speed of the game and get used to my reads. The pressure with a lot of younger guys that you'll see, it's a lot. And in certain big games, but by the time got through that season, it was just another day to get the job done, complete the mission, and that was my mindset going forward, and that's my mindset going into the season too.
So what was, after last season, what was your goal? What did you feel you could improve upon going into senior season? What are some of the things you said, I want to get better in these areas?
I would say definitely my pass rush. I feel like being a threat, getting pressure on the quarterback, if we're able to blitz with 3-man rushing off the ball, it allows us to do a lot more things in the back end. So I wanted to elevate my game there and also have a strong run defense. I think that's something that we preach in the D-line room, and being able to stop the run, and we take pride in that. And so I wanted to incorporate that culture going into my senior year with the younger guys and let them know how it goes.
So Coach Hall was just saying that a big thing you needed to get better at was using your hands. That you always had good pad level, but you needed to use your hands more. How do you work on that? How do you improve that?
It's just times where you get into the weight room, being able to strike on the sleds that we have in there, times after practice, be able to get strikes on the sled until it gets muscle memory. And then sometimes, like even in practice, when you use your hands, you can see how much it changes your game, how much it makes your job a lot more easier. So seeing that and then putting those drills and practice reps into the game situations, it helped me elevate my game as well. So, just trying to practice that over and over again to build that into a good habit, I think elevates my game as well across the run and pass.
So this past week, there's a play on, I believe, their second possession where you just walked their tackle back to the quarterback. You had him on roller skates. Can you talk about what that has got to be for a defensive end? That is just like the best play you could have.
Yeah, definitely. Knowing that you can be able to get pressure, using a long arm stab like that opens up a lot of doors to move around, to get to the edge. It stacks up your arsenal in that type of pass rushing mentality. So it's always encouraging to make a play like that, and I'm glad I was able to do that for my team. But after that, it was straight back to being 1-0 mentality. On to the next. What else can I do to help out the team in that situation? That
guy was like 6'5", 330, but Coach was mentioning that long arm stab is kind of your go-to move, and that it levels the playing field with a big guy like that. Definitely, it's about leverage in my eyes when I work that move. Sometimes I feel like I'm very strong and powerful when it comes to rushing the passer, in a sense, and also against the run as well.
So being able to use the long arm stab helps play to my advantage against those that are 6'5", the heavier guys. I feel like when they see me, they have their own perception of what I can do on the field, and then kind of surprise them with the long arm stab. Now I got to be cautious of what I can do on the speed rush and as well with power. So I think it just makes me a very dangerous player out there on the field.
I think you're at 3.5 sacks right now. If I remember correctly, 2 years ago when Busick had that really good season, he had 9. What's the goal for you?
The goal? To lead the team in sacks. I want to get double digits if I can. I'm not really focused too much on my stats. If I make those plays, then I make them. But as long as the team gets the win, I'm happy at the end of the day.